Mornings are a bit cold if you're to look at the last 2 days, and I hope you have already adjusted your timetables and adjusted how you will definitely kickstart off your day, because it does seem you're supposed to be having a jacket with you, a coat, or maybe a sweater, and at the end of the day you need to have an umbrella already bought up for you, because it seems surprisingly that we are likely to be having a rainy December. It did not look so at the start of it all, but now apparently it does look like we're going to be having a roller coaster ride of only cold mornings that is actually featured with heavy rains and hot and very cold drizzles. Almost call them hot drizzles, but that is how the morning is actually kick-starting off here, mainly in Uganda. And well, if you're to look at how you can cope up with such a situation, is for you to at least maybe get yourself a means of transport that is very safer for you to reach work. So that means you're supposed to be adjusting the time you leave work, and also to adjust a little bit of the time you wake up, because it does look like it will be raining every morning this particular week, apparently, till maybe hopefully around 10 a.m. in the morning, or around 8:30 to be more precise. This is what means business, and of course we are here to give you more of these particular daily updates of what is making headlines from there. How is your morning doing? Are you still at home, or are you already in office? That is something that you should be very conversant with for you as the viewer. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko here, and of course to guide you through other various updates as we've kick-started off the show already with the news recap. Now, as we move on further, we're going to be looking at more of what is making headlines from the world of business, because that is what we definitely do. We kick-start off your morning show, your morning, by giving you those daily updates, and it's something that you as a viewer will be very interested in knowing, especially if at all you also belong to the business community. It will be something that you would love to experience in this life that we are living in. Okay, and speaking of the daily updates, I will be starting off with one regarding an overview of how the economy has been faring. This is coming in from the ED of Siatini, Uganda, Miss Jen Nalunga, giving us her opinions on how the particular year of 2022 has been, especially for the business community, and how the economy has been able to, transpire all the different situations that we've been experiencing. Look at the crisis in Ukraine, and then also look at the increase in fuel prices that did kickstart off our year. Not only that, also look at the other situations that regard the inflation pressures across the globe. So that is something you can look at and steadily see that the year 2022 has not been an easy one, especially from the perspective of the economics space. But from that, we do have this as our early update this morning from Jen Nalunga, who is the executive director of Siatini, Uganda, giving us a brief overview of how the year has been in terms of the trader community, and as well as the key private players in the economy. Let's have more of it.
Yeah, economically, but economics and social go together. Economically for the people, but also for the country. For the people, the economy has contracted, and you remember we are coming out of the COVID pandemic. The people's businesses, some people had already left the business. The interest rates, we saw the interest rates have been high. When it comes to agriculture, there was a dry spell, and remember even people in Karamoja started dying. You saw people's maize gardens also had problems. So economically, things haven't been very good. Even at national level, look at the debts. Government has been surviving debts, and it has been a problem. So when it comes to debt, the issue is not whether government is getting loans or not. The issue is how government is using those. Because today, we have a bloated administration. The administration is bloated. When you look at the parliament, we have the biggest parliament in almost in the entire world. When you look at the districts, there are so many, the sub-counties are so many. So even the administration there in the sub-county, that means money is going there. And we have also seen dubious deals, the way government is managing projects. So as we move into the next year, I think government has to put its house in order. We need to put money where we are going to generate sources. We have to put in money in the people, invest in the people, people's education, because that's the biggest asset the country has. Put money in education, put money in health, put money in water and sanitation, put money in production, in agriculture, in industry, in trade. In the last budget, this budget, that when you look at the budget for agro-industrialization was just 1.4 trillion, and we are saying we want to get out of poverty. So I think we need to reassess our priorities as a country and be able to deploy our resources up.
All right, she does mention that we need to put resources in the rightful places as a country. You see, sometimes you get to realize that we as a country, maybe we're investing our money into things that are not going to reap more for us, not only in the short run, but also in the long run, because the most important thing is what we input and how it is going to be very helpful to us in the long run. So exactly that is what we wish to be experiencing at this particular time. So as we continue to look at more of these discussions, you get to realize that it is something that is very, very important of us to understand how the markets are and how we're going to be investing in them safely. So it is that same thing that we should be following up here, and it's something that we as the trader community, besides the fact that we have to focus on what the government has to offer, but then how are we centering ourselves to benefit from the money that we have, or the little money that we get? We have to invest it into something that is viable, something that is going to reap more in terms of the kind of investment. Now, for example, if you look at our agricultural sector, that is a sector that we should definitely wish to be part of. It's a sector that Ugandans would love to invest heavily, because at least out of 10% of every let's say of every neighborhood, not only in the city but also mainly in the village areas, you find out that out of the 10%, 9% are already engaging in agricultural activities. Not only that, by the way, you may find out that not only 10%, but 10% out of the 10, or 10 out of 10 homes will be already at least engaging in either small-scale agriculture or large-scale agriculture, which is either way 100% of the villages already engaging in this. And in the city areas, you find that out of 100, maybe 50% of those are engaging in small-scale agriculture, maybe keeping a hen with them, doing some simple poultry and stuff like that, or at least having a simple plantation of either setting up or growing some tomatoes, having some 1 or 2 banana plantations with 1 or 2 bananas that they've actually planted in their gardens, or 2 or 3 rather. So that is what you can easily see why Jane Nalunga is saying let's invest in something that is viable, something that is going to grow and help Ugandans reap something big in their investment. So that is it for this particular morning update, as we were looking at the overview of how the economy has been faring. Well, on your side, how has it been faring? How have you been able to cope up with this kind of situation where the inflation crisis has actually been high, the inflation pressures across the world? We've definitely survived the fact that fuel prices did shoot up to 7,000 Ugandan shillings at a time. So you can imagine that time where prices of commodities were shooting up terribly. But now most of them have already decreased, others are decreasing with time. So that is how you can see that the world has been facing some challenges in regards to the economic crisis within the entire global space. But that is it for the S&P update. Now we're going to cross over to see what is happening in our traffic update this morning. Traffic updates this morning for you to at least plan accordingly. Now, as you can see, we are at Nankulabye Hoima Road, Sa Apollo Kagwa Lane, as we're coming in from that stretcher around Nankulabye. As we're going to, as you can see some of the images there, it is still a raining situation within the entire scope, but that is images coming to you from Makere, as you can see, as you're moving into either as you're moving into stretch to the Hoima Road, as well as you're heading to Chikoni ends, Nankulabye, Mengo areas, and as well as one who's stretching into especially those who are heading to Hoima. But as of now, with those particular images that are coming to you at the traffic lights after the Makere Hill, as you're sloping downhill to meet that particular junction that will give you the three directions to what I was actually explaining to you. The side that is actually heading to Old Kampala, Mengo, then the other side is heading to Hoima Road, then the upper stretcher one will be heading to Nankulabye. But it's not that a busy one as of now. It's for only those particular vehicles that are actually using the route from Makere Chikoni, coming from the Hoima Road side, now heading to either Mengo or heading to town, is where the most traffic is already kick-starting off. But the other areas, the other lanes do look a bit free. Yes, that is exactly where I'm actually showing you. For the vehicles that are actually leaving Hoima Road and those who are actually leaving the Chikoni areas, moving into Kampala, those particular images, as you can see, real-time videos coming to you live, courtesy of Smart 24 TV this morning with the traffic updates. Now, the vehicles that are actually coming in from there will clearly show you that that is the only, for now, traffic congestion is actually heating up from that only side. But when you look at the vehicles that are coming in from the stretcher of Nankulabye, heading to Makere Hill, heading to Kampala directly, heading to the side of Mulago and all those areas, you get to realize that it is yet to be too busy for them. But it's raining currently. That is why you're seeing the streets are not yet busy, even though it is already 24 minutes past 7 o'clock. You get to realize that outdoor businesses, for example, chapatis and all that, most of them are affected, especially when we are facing some challenges. Now, the people who are actually using the Sa Apollo Kagwa lane, heading to town, heading to Kampala, heading to Mengo areas, you can see it is the flow of the vehicles is moving on swiftly, and you can just definitely know that not so many people are already on the road. Not so many have already hit the road, and that can only be attributed to the fact that it's already raining, and it has been raining since morning, and it normally affects the flow of traffic at around 8 a.m. because that is when most of the vehicles will be hitting in there. But of course, as you can definitely see, the traffic lights are supporting the flow of the vehicles and the movement of these particular drivers. And besides the fact that we do not have a traffic officer in there, you will realize that it's something that we can all understand that now the vehicles are moving in and being supported by the traffic lights. But the only busy lane so far is one that is actually coming in from the Hoima Road side, that is the Chikoni area, heading to that same junction. That is where most vehicles are coming in from this particular morning, and it's where the traffic jam has already kick-started off. But of course, with the fact that the traffic lights are already supporting the movement of the vehicles and supporting the drivers to actually move in well, it is not something that has affected anyone so far as of now. And exactly that is something that you should be preparing yourself as you're waking up in the morning to at least go out there and see how you're going to be kick-starting off your day. It is for you as a business person to understand that, hey, it is morning time. Which route am I going to use to beat the traffic? And just to give you more of the highlights regarding this traffic update is the fact that around the Wandegea traffic lights, it's not that busy as well because, of course, because of the rain that is actually that entirely started off the night or the morning from around 3 a.m. or so in most parts of the country. You get to realize that sometimes traffic jam always picks up at around 9 a.m. That is because most people now will definitely be home right now trying to to beat up and try to warm themselves up, and then the others simply because it's either way because of where they come from. Some areas do flood, especially some Kampala suburbs end up flooding, and you have to wait a little bit to see how you're going to peruse through such a time. But for those who are actually using the Hoima Road, the Sapelo Kagwa route, Nankulabia, you can easily now see that as of now, it is actually the better time for you to wake up and leave the house, or it is actually the better time for you to hit the road because it's not yet that tight. The traffic jam is not yet congested as much as it would be, especially at around 9 a.m. So at this time, you can easily wake up, beat the traffic, and be in office by around 8:30 or even 8 a.m. So think about it and see how you can go about that same situation with the kind of weather that we are living in. The conditions are not that favorable for someone who does not own let's say a vehicle, a car, or someone who doesn't opt to use a taxi or other passenger service vehicles. But at the end of the day, for one who's using a boda, you hope to have a jacket with you or a sweater. And of course, there's something I've also identified with this same video. You can easily see that there's an accident sort of after you can easily see a taxi that has been taken through up there using the Makere Hill Road. And apparently, these are some of the things. This is a time when we have to be very cautious about how we drive and how we use the road because it is raining. Any simple mistake you can do, you can easily slip off the road and hit your neighbor or enter into someone's business. So those are some of the things that you should as well know. But of course, do remain cautious as you kickstart off your business day. And that's all for our traffic update this morning. After the break, I do have Karibu East Africa. Not only that, I will as well be taking you through the international scene to take you through what is making headlines from that world of business. But besides that, just to remind you that Zabu is a platform for you to grow your investment. And kickstarting off your investment journey can easily be something you should be starting off today. With Zabu, you use the USSD code *292# and you start following the prompts that will definitely lead you to the homepage of Zabu and definitely pick a maturity bond for yourself. With a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings, Zabu says, my money, my future. You can definitely kickstart off your investment journey today. The markets on Zabu's platform do open at 8:15 a.m. and close at 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. Please do note that these markets are only closed during weekends and during public holidays, but the rest of the days you are free to invest in bonds and securities. Zabo is my money, my future. And Zabo, remember, Zabo is powered by Altex East Africa. Altex East Africa says, do something new. That is Zabo for you right there. After the break, I'll be returning back with more updates basically around the East African Community region, across the African continent, and all over the world.